You know, this water selling, this water harvesting is completely unlawful. It's completely against the Constitution, and no one owns water. It doesn't matter what they write on paper. If you legislate that you have the right to own water, then you are legislating that you have the right to determine the life of others. You have the right to control the life of others, because water is the stuff of life. No one controls water, folks. Only God controls water. And anybody who thinks they can control water needs to be removed, needs to be charged with treason, and needs to be gotten out of the picture as quickly as possible. And that's what needs to happen in this country, folks. We have to rise up. Now's the time to do it. And if this doesn't cause people to want to take this country back, then I don't know what will. But all these dams out there that are holding the water back at Cubby Farms, all the floodplain harvesting, all this stuff that's going on, you need to go and break these dams down. If you live near these waters, you need to go and release these waters back into the river system. And know that the people of Australia stand by you in doing so, because this is our water. It doesn't matter if they claim it's somebody else's. They're full of shit. It's not anybody's. It belongs to the earth. It belongs to the people, irrespective of what politicians have written on paper. So people who have the ability to release this water need to release this water, and we need to shut down these cotton farms right now. It's not a question of when, it's not a question of if, it's a matter of now. It needs to be done. We can't tolerate this situation any longer, and if we do, it's going to mean the end of this country. So it's time for the people to rise up. It's time for the people to take this country back and dismiss this government, as I said, by whatever means possible. If you're someone out there who believes in the monarchy, great. Go and petition the Queen and ask her to intervene. If you're someone out there who believes in the Constitution, great. Go and get all the Constitutionists and get them to stand up for our Constitution. If you're someone who doesn't believe in any of it, you simply believe in freedom, great. Unite with the people who believe in those other two causes, and let's all move together as one to dismiss and dissolve this government and replace them with people of integrity. And if you're listening to this, if you happen to be Scott Morrison, I charge you with treason. I charge every politician in this country who believes they can own water, and any politician who has ever sold water to foreign interests, I charge you all with treason. Right now, you've been charged, and the Australian people need to rally up and push this charge against you, and we need to have these people removed, and we need to have this water returned to the places that it should be in.
Sydney's biggest water supply choked by smoke. Every corner of the Warragamba Dam under threat as fire takes over the Blue Mountains.
Further west in the tiny town of Tottenham, a dust twister. The elements out of control, a heat map painting a concerning picture for Australia and the state.
Australia is under a state of emergency as hundreds of wildfires burn across the country right now. Those fires have ripped through towns and destroyed dozens of homes, and of course this is just before Christmas.
Brace for catastrophic conditions as an extreme heat wave hits Sydney. Temperatures will climb well into the 40s in the coming days, peaking on New Year's Eve and making conditions even worse on our fire grounds.
As a meteorologist and someone who's studied this my whole life, I couldn't have even believed that could have happened. To give you an idea, they're saying that even right now, this is likely a 1 in 1,000 year event. To give you an idea of how unprecedented this is.
The fires now in Australia are covering an area around about 5 million hectares burned. That's around about 12.5 million acres. To put that in comparison, that is about the size, or it's a greater area than the country of Wales. It's about the size of Belgium and Luxembourg combined, almost as big as the country of Ireland. Coming with the fires is a smoke plume which is leaving this country and taking out across the world, hitting New Zealand very drastically. That smoke plume is estimated to be something in the vicinity of 5.5 million square kilometres. That's around about 2.1 million square miles. As I said, folks, the situation here in Australia is quite literally unprecedented. When you look at the news reports, they will tell you that Australia teeters on the brink of a humanitarian crisis. I would suggest no, folks, it is in the midst of an unfolding humanitarian crisis as we speak. If you just have a look at some of these news reports, I'll just go through some of them. And the situation here is quite literally unprecedented, ladies and gentlemen. The size and scope of these fires and the inability of people to be able to deal with them is like nothing we've ever seen. And the efforts that government is making is truly ridiculous. You know, they're really not putting enough effort into it at all. As you can see here, that's the bushfire map, and we're told that it's a potential, it's on the brink of a humanitarian crisis. Folks, it's already a humanitarian crisis. We've got fires all around the country, fires now in Western Australia as well, and some of the reports are just, you know, outrageous. It happens so fast. We put the children, put everybody in the water as the bushfire was coming. This happened in a lot of places, Conjola Creek. It also happened at Malakuta. Bateman's Bay, the same thing. We saw whole towns devastated, ladies and gentlemen. Here is an interesting report. You know, 4,000 people trapped on the town's waterfront, and this is at Malakuta. It says it down here. Yeah, Malakuta, there are around 4,000 residents fled towards the waterside, so they're trapped on the beach. And here we have the Defence Force set to rescue 500 people in Malakuta. That's comforting for them, isn't it? And here we have reports that at least 17 people are missing. I think that number is set to rise dramatically, ladies and gentlemen. And as I said, you know, they're saying that this is a crisis that is on the brink of happening. Here we have the fires are like nothing we've ever seen, 5 million hectares, and it has basically, as I said, folks, we've not seen anything like this. Basically, in the history of the world, there have not been any fires like this. You can look at the live map of the fires. I'll put a link below so you can see just how much it is devastating the country. These maps are updated every 10 minutes. You can see here the size of the fires that are surrounding Sydney. And again, no rainfall. An interesting thing as well that's happening with that, the lack of rainfall. As I mentioned to you before, the amount of Doppler radar stations around the Earth and the concept that these things are controlling the weather and pushing the clouds away. If you have a look at this radar image, very predictable, folks. We see rain out to sea here, quite heavy patches of rain, but it all stops in a nice round circle around the Doppler radar. That's the way it goes, folks. They're controlling the weather. As I said, this is reaching New Zealand as well. This is what the glaciers are looking like in New Zealand because of the smoke plume coming from Australia. It's doing a lot of damage already to other countries, and you know, it's our fires here. And it's just devastating, folks. There's plenty of pictures to show you the extent of the devastation. You just got to look on Google Images. They're all over the place. It's really like nothing we've ever seen before. So big that we're told it's even generating its own weather systems, if such a thing is even possible. Pyrocumulonimbus clouds, we're told, are being formed. I can understand pyro clouds being formed. How they could produce rain, to me, seems a little avant-garde, but hey, that's what we're being told. You can believe it if you want to, folks, but that just shows the extent of the situation here in Australia. And as I said, the smoke plume that's leaving is absolutely outrageous. The smoke plume is actually wider than Europe, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll just show you this video here so you can check it out for yourself. As you can see there, that is the size of the smoke plume. There it is in comparison to the size of Europe. There it is in comparison to the size of the United States. There it is in comparison to the size of South America. This is a pretty large smoke plume, ladies and gentlemen. Now the reason this is happening, you know, I showed you on a video last week or a couple of weeks ago. I've done a couple of videos in the last week. I'll just run through this here so you can see it. I showed you on that video the floodplain harvesting that is going on. Sorry about this. This is just what I deal with here with buffering, ladies and gentlemen. I can set the videos up to play, but I still get this buffering problem. The floodplain harvesting that's happening and the private dams that have been built, this is one of the main problems that we've got here. This is why the country is so dry. I mean, if you look at some of the news reports that I just went through, and I'll put the links to those reports below so you can look at them for yourself. They talk about the water shortage and the crisis, how there's this major water crisis in Australia. And really, it's because of this. It's because of the floodplain harvesting, and it's because of the private dams that have been built. These dams that I talked about on the last couple of reports that I've done. Again, you'll find the links below. Now, all of this sort of stuff is what has contributed to this situation, folks. And if you want to know how they've gotten away with doing this and how they've gotten away with selling off our water, I just want to show you this report here that was put out by our friends on the channel, LBRY. They really do good work, folks. And if you haven't subscribed to that channel yet, I highly recommend that you do if you're an Australian, because they are keeping us informed about what's going on the ground here. But have a listen to this report coming from LBRY, and it's referring to an interview that was conducted by Alan Jones. Have a listen to this. This is how they've managed to sell our water, folks, and tell me what you think about this. This is Australian politicians for you.
That you asked the Premier of New South Wales in Parliament this week, last week, Gladys Berejiklian, whether parliamentarians shouldn't have to disclose their water ownership. And you asked, basically, the Premier, given the New South Wales water crisis, your words, and current investigations into water trading and water corruption, will the Premier explain why state members of Parliament don't have to declare their water ownership before?
Water ownership. Members of Parliament don't have to declare their water ownership. How are members of Parliament even in a position where they are owning water? Think about that, folks. But I'll continue.
Before you ask that question, coming to Peter, likewise, there are federal parliamentarians, I'm told, who own water.
And it wouldn't be specific on their disclosures that they would have to own up to a water right. I have to say, I have concerns that some recently departed federal MPs, and probably some still in the Parliament, own water.
And that's your concern, Helen?
Absolutely.
Because you were up front, you say I own water.
That's right, I did. And when I saw the form to fill in, when I joined Parliament, I just thought, there was no obligation to actually disclose my water interests at all.
And the Premier didn't answer your question?
No, she said that, well, basically she said that we should trust politicians.
Yes, you said the water market, you've said, is an unregulated disgrace. We know there are people who have an interest in keeping water scarce and prices high. They're making millions off the misery of drought-stricken farmers.
Absolutely.
I don't know, and Peter doesn't know, which of these politicians own water. Then you've got these private water holders, this Duxton Water, who own enough water to fill a Warren or a dam.
That's right.
They don't own a tablecloth of land.
That's right. And, of course, all the foreign interests too. So we know a lot of that water is, a lot of land and water is owned by foreign entities, corporations, and that's a big concern.
You also raise this question of the manufacture of Bellamy's, being the sale of it being approved to a Chinese company. And you said this is a long sequence of events, the sale of important Australian assets to overseas investors. And you gave a speech on how government is, quote, making decisions about foreign purchases in secrecy. And you said the coalition in the last 30 years have successfully portrayed themselves as strong at protecting our borders, strong at putting Australian interests ahead of those of foreigners. But then you said this, but protecting our borders should be about more than just stopping sick refugee children from presenting at Australian hospitals. It means protecting Australian land, Australian jobs, Australian water, Australian farms, Australian heritage, and the Australian way of life. Absolutely. On that score, the coalition's failed.
Absolutely. So
how many people in the Parliament in the chamber when you made this speech?
Probably about 3 or 4.
And no reaction?
No, well, I think that, you know...
But in the electorate, what's the reaction?
A lot, absolutely. So we put it up on the Facebook and people are tuning in on it, and it's been shared, I don't know how many times, but it's certainly resonating within the community. And also outside of the electorate of Murray too. I get a lot of people coming in and commenting about what's happening. People are fed up, absolutely. And we're in a lot of trouble.
Talking about...
We're in a lot of trouble. As she said, we are in a lot of trouble. This is treason, ladies and gentlemen, what these politicians have done. And it isn't just treason against the people of Australia, it's treason against Australia itself. Because these fires have changed Australia. You know, these fires, as I said, this is unprecedented, ladies and gentlemen. You know, these fires spell, and it's hard to say, but these fires spell the end of Australia as we know it. You know, and that may seem like, you know, a radical thing to say. You may think I'm exaggerating or something like that. But look at the devastation to the forests, ladies and gentlemen. We've got something like, the estimates at the moment are 500 million animals have been killed and burned in these fires. Koalas, kangaroos, lizards, just wildlife in general. And it isn't just the animals that have died. The problem is the forests have died because all the insects, all the ants, all the microbes, all the centipedes, all the funguses, all the stuff that keeps the forest alive in the undergrowth, in the mulch, on the ground, on the forest floor, all the stuff that creates the soil, all this is gone. You know, Australia is not going to return to what it was after these fires. And these fires have been deliberately set up. You know, this has been the creation of a perfect firestorm. Everything you could possibly do has been done to create the perfect firestorm in Australia. You know, they've blocked off all our water. They've effectively dried the country out. They've caused so much water mining that the aquifers have ceased to flow on the East Coast. If you look at the reports that I've done previously, the last 3 reports, I've shown you very clearly that they've been spraying this country with accelerants, mainly aluminium, barium and strontium, which combined is essentially sparkler dust, and that's why the fires are so outrageous. They've set it up to be a perfect storm, and they're just not doing anything about it. You know, the amount of aid that we're getting for these fires it's just not coming. The government isn't really doing anything about it at all. They're pretending that they are. Sending one ship down to Bateman's Bay, sending one ship down to Melaleuca or Malakuta, you know, whatever they're doing. I mean, this is too little too late. There's plenty of things they could be doing, but they're just not doing any of them. And as I said, folks, you know, what we're seeing here, we're going to see, you know, like 500 million animals have perished in these fires already. You know, it's not just the people that are suffering. There's so much suffering happening in these fires, ladies and gentlemen, and it's only just begun because summer has only just started. Have a look at this video of this fire truck as well. This is a very interesting video. There's a point in this video where there's an explosion that goes off halfway through the journey. This is 1 minute long. I'm going to show you the whole video. There's a fire truck escaping from the flames. But check this out. And around about, I think, 28 seconds into the video, there's an explosion that goes off in the forest. I mean, I'm open to it perhaps being a ball of sap or a tree trunk exploding, but it's quite a bright white explosion, and I think it's quite interesting. So let's see what you think about this. But this also shows you what the firemen are dealing with these fires, folks. This is like driving to the gates of hell. Check this out.
Watch 38 coming down here. Fires on the road already.
Watch this. And then the fire just takes off. You see that?
Jasper, put the flames
Play
up.
that for you again. Play again. You watch the fire spread now. Look at this. Look at that.
Jasper,
What was that, folks?
Jasper, put the flames up.
It was a very interesting sort of an explosion, and how the fire spread so quickly after that explosion. What do you think might have caused that, ladies and gentlemen? Is that a natural thing that you would normally see in a forest fire? I mean, I don't know. I've never been in a situation like that to be able to answer that question myself, but it seems highly suspect to me. And look at this, folks. If you think the government is actually doing a lot to save the fires and prevent these fires from happening, have a look at this. There's these super scooper aircraft that are all sitting in mothballs overseas. These craft can scoop up water from the lakes, from the ocean, dump it on the fires. Why isn't the government putting this in use? But no, they're just sitting in mothballs while the country burns. And of course, this is what they're blaming it all on, folks. As I mentioned to you, they're going to blame all this on climate change. Australia's angry summer, this is what climate change looks like. As I said to you, they intend to genocide this country, and they've already done a pretty good job, and fire season, summer, has just started. You notice how they've been calling summer fire season for the last few years here in Australia as well, kind of hyping people up, getting them ready for this type of event to happen, getting it in their minds that summer is fire season. But, you know, fires raging across Australia, more than 5 million hectares. You know, the catastrophic fire season in California saw nearly 740,000 hectares burned. Australia's fire season began this year in late August. Fires have so far claimed 9 lives, blah, blah, blah. Destroyed 1,000 homes. It suggested around 500 million animals have also died, including 30% of the koala population. I would suggest it's actually a lot more than that, folks. Australia's climate has warmed, so they're really pushing the whole climate change thing, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, have a look at this. Hundreds of bushfire victims to get no compensation after their homes are razed to the ground, leaving them to facing a life of destitution. You know why this is, folks? Do you know why? Experts say thousands of New South Wales residents do not insure their homes because state government taxes make it too expensive. And think about this. Why would it be, folks? New South Wales and Tasmania are the only jurisdictions in the country where emergency services are funded by tax on insurance companies. Think about that one. Your insurance is so high in these states because the insurance companies are taxed in order to support the emergency services. So if people aren't insuring their homes, then you don't have funding for emergency services. And, you know, so they've got to put the prices up so less people want to get insurance. And so emergency services get thrown on the back burner. You think that isn't done by design, folks? I mean, they could put the money that they used on the Sydney fireworks display towards funding emergency services, and they would do better than putting a tax on the insurance companies. But if you think that isn't done by design, folks, I mean, that just speaks volumes to me.
So for any of you that still doubt the weather is being modified on a grand scale on a regular basis, all over the world. Just go to this website called weathermodification.com. Weather Modification Inc. We see potential. When most people look up, they see clouds. No, I see you geoengineering, spraying us like bugs and ruining the future for all life is what I see, you scumbags that are knowingly doing this. They're out of North Dakota here. And if you take on their clients and projects list, it's no small group that they're doing this through. Look at all the countries from A to Z where they have precipitation, meteorological, spraying, geoengineered weather that they're conducting. And look at the United States. Look at all the areas: Nevada, Edwards Space, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Santa Barbara, Sonoma Technology Inc. Do you think you guys had a hand in the directed energy weapons attacks? Well, maybe we should go visit you and find out for ourselves. All of you that work for these companies and are staying silent and allowing this to happen, shame. Shame on you all. But here's the evidence, folks. You can't, they use the weather to steer it with the NEXRAD radar systems. They call it NOAA for a reason. National Oceanic Administration, NOAA, get it, the floods, They play games with us. And they have the radar systems, they have the aircraft, they have the hidden technology. Oh, built for success. No, built for aerosol spraying us like freaking bugs. And they also have VIP transports, photographic equipment. This is all being funded by the government. That's acknowledging and helping and providing for the money for them to spray us like bugs and to manipulate the weather at will and to create the directed energy attacks. These are the companies that are involved with it all.
The people are coming. You're fucked.
And again, they've been modifying the weather for a very long time. This was a post from a lady who I used her information and I posted it. And she filed a copyright strike against me, calling me a parasite for trying to get the information out to share that the weather's being modified from her work. Don't understand it, don't get it. Further proof is evident. Weather modifications have been going on for a very, very long time, and it's being intensified. More from Intel said technology doubles every year. What do you think the weather modification abilities are when they can modify the weather with the technology, with the D-Wave computers, with the NEXRAD systems, with the wet surface air coolers, with the Silver Lining Project? Yeah, it's a big, big business when they have weather derivatives markets. And this is the Silver Lining Project. They park out in the oceans and they use the ocean water, as you heard him testify, using the ocean's water to create the water vapors, and then use the barium in the aluminum particles to steer the weather and create the rain if they want, or the drought if they want. This is all part of the Bill Gates from hell funding to spray us like bugs, to control the weather and manipulate at will for their agenda. Can you remain silent while all this is happening? Here's a piece I did on the Silver Lining Project with the former Weather Wars. Don't know what happened to him. But this explains it a little further about the Silver Lining Project and how it operates off the West Coast back in 2017.
3 to 5 inches, guys, in such a short period of time, there is going to be more flooding and much more damage.
As always, the simple and logical question is, how can this be? How can so much rain fall in such a short amount of time? Longtime Weather War 101 viewers already know the answer to that question.
The people are coming. You're fucked.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection.
The people are coming. You're fucked.
Microphones up there. We got microphones there, so you can just shout whatever the fuck you want to say. Fuck you. You can shout fuck you. If you want to eat shit, you say eat shit. If you want to say I'm a sick motherfucker, say I'm a sick motherfucker. Say I'm a sick motherfucker. 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 Motherfucker.
You're fucked. The people are coming. You're fucked.
Geoengineering.
The people are coming.
Stratospheric aerosol injection.
The people are coming. You're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. The people are coming. The people are coming. You're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. The people are coming.
Let me say, we can't simply destroy everything which a totalitarian government uses.
Order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
Let me say, we can't simply destroy everything which a totalitarian government uses.
Order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
The people are coming. You're fucked. 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 The people are coming. The people are coming. The people are coming. The people are coming.
Let me say, we can't simply destroy everything which a totalitarian government uses.
Order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
You're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. The people are coming. The people are coming. You're fucked. The people are coming. You're fucked.